Assalamu alaikum. I'm Nasrullah and I'm your course leader of managerial communication and negotiation skills. We are going to talk about chapter 1, management communication and transition. And the learning objectives of today's lectures are: what are the managerial daily activities of the managers, what roles a manager play, major characteristics of the manager's job, what varies in a manager's job, management skills required for the 21st century, major channels of management communication, role of writing, talking and listening, greatest challenge. What is the greatest challenge for the managers? And the last one is professional tasks. What professional tasks the managers use to perform in their daily routine? What is the definition of management communication? Is its management communication is about the movement of information and the skills that facilitate it: speaking, writing, listening, and processes of critical thinking. So here here four things are involved here. Number one is speaking. Number two is writing. Number three is listening, and number four is critical thinking. These all four things together make fair management communication. The important points are: management communication is the central skill in the global workplace of the 21st century. Success as a manager is determined with an understanding of language and its inherent powers, combined with the skill to speak, write, listen, and form interpersonal relationships. Managers should influence how others see and think of him or her in role of a manager. Let's talk about every point in detail. Now, why do you think that management communication is the central skill in an organization for a manager? It's just because the most of the tasks that a manager has to perform in an organization, they all need a mode of communication. Manager writes to its subordinates or to bosses. He reports to them, and he does a lot of meetings with the people, and he used to speak to them, and he has to listen to the to other people also. So he uses his listening skill also. And if a manager is not very much good at all those skills, then there is a problem for the manager to go with that situation. So a manager has to be very much skilled in all these things: writing, speaking, listening, and he must be well aware of the things which are necessary for making a person creative minded, with critical thinking. Success as managers is determined with an understanding of language and its inherent powers, combined with the skill to speak, write, listen, and form interpersonal relationships. Now, if a manager is not good with others, if he's not, if he doesn't smile, or if he doesn't give respond to the people, then it is something bad on the part of the manager. So he has to create a charisma of interpersonal relationships. Another important thing for a manager is that he must have to leave an influence on others, that how other people think about him or her. Do other people give respect to him? Do other people think good about him, think fair about him or not? So he must have to create a kind of uh, situation where everybody is going with him, and accepting and denying the things on based on some of the concrete ideas. Now, what do you think is the managerial work here? Uh, we are going to talk about three things. Number one is managers are in constant action, switching from tasks to tasks. Now, the managers don't stop at one point. They have to do a lot of things. Okay, their work behavior, changes time to time. They are not stopped at one point. They need to see so many things in a day. Managers spend a great deal of time with others. Now, manager is very much busy with his boss, subordinates, and the people from outside the organization. If he wants to report to his boss on some issue, then he goes to that boss, and he used to discuss with him. If he wants to give some important information or directions or instructions to the subordinates, he used to talk to them. He used to send emails or memos to them, and the manager of an organization has to talk to the people outside that organization. And when manager is going to deal with that situation, then what he has to use, he has to talk, he has to listen to others, and he has to solve problems. Now, what are the roles played by managers? According to Professor Mintzberg's seminal study of managers and their jobs, he argued that the core management roles of a manager are interpersonal, informational, and decisional. Now, if I count on the manager roles, the roles of the managers, a manager is a figurehead, leader, liaison, monitor, disseminator, spokesperson, entrepreneur, disturbance or crisis handler, resource allocator, or a negotiator. So now you see that there are so many different roles of a manager. Then the manager has to be very much versatile in dealing all the situations, talking to others, listening to others, giving respect to others. As a figurehead, he has more responsibilities over there. As a leader, he has to lead a team of dedicated employees of the same organization. And as a liaison, he has to perform, or he has to represent uh, his company on different platforms. As a monitor, he has to monitor the intricacies of some work. As a disseminator, he has to disseminate or give correct, accurate, and stress-free information to the people. As a spokesperson, he has to be very much good and skilled in talking on behalf of his company. As an entrepreneur, he has to have entrepreneurial skills at large to go with that. And as a disturbance or crisis handler, he has to be very much cool, collective, and he has to maintain the temperament. He has to look into the matters so deeply that all the matters should be handled. And he, as a resource allocator, he allocates resources that are provided by that organization. Is a negotiator, he must be very much critical in thinking outside the box. He must be well aware of the negotiation skills and so many other things which are related to negotiation. Now, the next point is, what are the major characteristics of a manager's job? Number one, time is fragmented, and values compete, and the various roles are in tension. Number third is the job is overloaded. Number fourth is efficiency is a core skill. Now, from time to time, managers have to manage the things. Okay, sometimes in the time given to them, they have to do a lot of things. They have to do the things more than their scheduled things. Point number two is values compete and various roles are in tension. Sometimes the values for the managers are different than the previous one. So what happens? They create a kind of tension in that. And another thing is that a manager's job is overloaded. There's no doubt. Undoubtedly, a manager is overloaded, and the manager has to do so many things uh, on daily basis. So this now doing all these things, one thing is very much important, that a manager has to be efficient. A manager has to create an efficiency and as a core skill in in his or her personality, and that is something very important. Now, what are some other things that the managers have in their atmosphere? The entrepreneur role is gaining importance. Like nowadays, the managers are required to create entrepreneurial skills in their life, so that they come up with some of the good ideas for the company or for the organization they are working for. And another thing, the leader role is also getting importance. Leadership skills are gaining importance now, and and the companies who require good managers, they count leadership skills at top of the required skills they want to see in their in their in the people they want to hire. And another thing that is over there in a manager's job, and that a manager has to do, is that a manager has to create a local vision. Why? Because a manager has to look into that situation. If a manager is based in Karachi, and if he wants to do something good for the people over there, then he has to look into the lives of the people of Karachi, and so on. He has to go with the idea over there. So in that situation, the people will like that manager and like that company as well, and it will help grow that company at large. Now, uh, what management skills are needed for a manager, like today's 21st, in this modern era? What management skills are needed for a manager to have? Number one thing is technical skills. Now, the technical skill is most valuable at the entry level. When a manager is entering into an organization, uh, so in the first, you can say, years, that technical skill is most valuable, and less valuable at more senior levels. When a manager gets senior, goes senior and senior, then that technical skills are less important. Number two is relating skills, valuable across the managerial career span. Now, how you are going to relate the things to other things. This is a skill that is very valuable, and it is valuable across the managerial career span. Means uh, it's not like that it's needed in the first years and it's not needed in the last years. No, it's not like that. Throughout that career, these things are very important. Number third is conceptual skills. Now, conceptualization is something very important these days. If your concepts are not clear about something, if you're not well enough in conceptual skills, then the things don't go well. And this skill, the conceptual skill, is least valuable at entry level and more valuable at more senior levels. Now, most of the times managers spend their time talking to the people. So dominant work of a manager is talk. Managers across industries spend 75% of their time in verbal interaction, such as one-on-one or face-to-face or telephone conversations, video teleconferencing, presentation to small groups, public speaking to larger audiences, and these things are taken from the business of talk by Bowden. So now these things are very important, and during all these things, a manager has to speak. He has to speak about the ideas. He or she has to speak about the organization. He or she has to speak about the emerging trends in technology of the 21st century, and he has to talk about the problems and their solutions. He has to conduct the meetings, business meetings outside the world. He has to see what is going on outside. The most important things, two most important skills are talking and listening. So where these things are very much important in the meetings, when you are talking on telephone, your listening and your speaking both are utilized. When you are when you are creating an electronic mail, it means you are recording your voice and sending out. You need to speak. One-on-one conversation, interviews, tours, and informal visits at social events. So these all things need you people to talk and listen, and it means you all have to work harder, great on your talking and listening skills, and you have to get along with that successful and emerging trends in talking and listening. Now I'm going to talk about the role of writing. What's the role of writing for manager in a managerial atmosphere? For the managers, what role is very much important? It's role of it's writing. And so what is the role of writing into that task? The most important projects, decisions, and ideas end up in writing. It's so simple. You are a manager and you had a meeting with your boss, and you spend half an hour, 1 hour on an idea. Now what you are going to do, you are going to put that idea into that physical format. That is you are going to type. Either you are going to type it, or you are going to fare it or write it. And writing provides analysis, justification, documentation, and analytic discipline. Now this is something really important. You have got a report of your boss is sent you a report to analyze on the emerging trends in the technology you are working for, and then sometimes you have to justify your stand. If you have sent something to your boss, then your boss is going to get justification for that. Then you are going to document all these situations, and analytic discipline, like your mind, you can see frequency. It enhances your thinking power. It enhances your way you argue with others, and so on. Writing can become a career shifter. Now this is very important. If you are a manager and a good writer at the same time, then your career is going to become more and more your career is going to become secure, and you are going up and up in that career if you are a very good writer. Now what is the role of writing? Most managers spend the largest portion of their day talking and listening. Fine. Writing plays an important role in the life of any organization. For example, at Procter and Gamble, for example, brand managers cannot raise a work-related issue in a team meeting unless the ideas are first circulated in writing. This is quite interesting that Procter and Gamble people, they cannot ask their managers, or they cannot ask that come and say something first. Any idea they want to share with them first, they make it in a written format, and then they send it to the concerned people, and then after that they can call a meeting to discuss that idea. Point number 2, inability to put ideas on paper in a clearly means you are most not likely to last. Inability to put ideas on paper is a clearly means you are more not likely to last. Now this is, if you are not able to put your ideas on a piece of paper, then this is a very kind of wrong situation for you. The main thing that is necessary for you is that you must be able to to put your idea on a piece of paper. Point number 4, managers do most of their own writing and editing. This is quite interesting, and this is quite professional for managers, because they spend their time in writing and editing the data, sending them, then after that sending that data to the concerned people. Point number 5, documents take on lives of their own. When you sign a letter and put it in the mail, it's no longer your letter. Now when you are going to send a letter, now that letter is not yours. Now another person will read that. Now if it is not written well, there will be a question mark on your skills raised by that person. So it's not like you are just writing, but you are sending that information to others, and those people can be so much critical. They can think about that, and they can raise a question on your skills of writing and editing. The recipient may use your writing, including using it against you. Now this can be a possibility that the people can use that writing against you. Now communication, since communication is an invention, means even it's inventful, like creative. So most managers create meaning through communication. If they want to make others understand their idea, they used to talk through discussion and verbal exchange. Managers figure things out by talking about them as much as they talk about the things they have already figured out. Now this type of situation actually gives them an eventful mind, and they are now more creative after doing a lot of exercises and acquiring that habit in their lives, and they become something very good. Now another thing that is very important to mention here is that information is socially constructed. Now you cannot construct your bulk of information without putting yourself into the situations, without meeting up the people, without going out and hanging around with your friends. So information is created, then it is shared and interpreted by the people. The third stage is that the people interpret your ideas. Okay, and information never speaks for itself. Numbers always require interpretation. Now if I give you a report, okay, and what if I give you an example? What if in 2007 and in 2007 Steve Jobs, what if he was not physically present on the time when he was launching iPhone? What do you think? Would it have been good for that? No. He was physically available over there, and he made a great presentation over there when he was going to launch that iPhone in 2007. So he could have given a report, he could have given an informational article about that launch, but no, he just came out and he gave meaning to the numbers and to the words alone. He actually gave meaning to that. So when you speak, actually you give a complete situation. Context always drives meaning. Now some of the things are there which are not very much visible in the words, so it is your speaking that make it more clearer. The backdrop to a message is always of paramount importance to the listener or reader. A messenger always accompanies a message. Fine. Messages that manager sends must come from a source the receiver knows, as respects and understands. So now here is a responsibility on a manager. If he's going to talk, then he must have to provide what source he's using here to create his or her credibility among the people, among the listeners, among the audience. Now what's your greatest challenge? Every manager knows communication is vital to the organization and to him or her personally, fine. But every manager also knows that he or she is great at it. Of course, I'm good at this. Haven't you seen my writing? Admit to flaws in your skill set and work tirelessly to improve them. Now, these are the three very important things that a manager has to take them is a greatest challenge of their life. And your task is a professional. Now, what is your task as a professional? As a professional manager, your first task is to recognize and understand your strengths and weaknesses as a communicator. Now, this is something very important. We hesitate to accept our mistakes. We hesitate to find out some of the weaknesses that we inherit, that we already have. We feel shy, we feel ashamed that somebody will point out us that, oh my god, you made a mistake. But this is not like that. Improve existing skills, all the skills that you have. Now it's time to improve them. Acquire a knowledge base that will work for the years ahead. Now you have to be reader, you have to become a very good listener in your workplace. Listen to some of the greatest speakers talking about your ideas and other things. Then you will acquire a knowledge base, and that knowledge base actually will make you speak wise in a wise manner. Read at least one national newspaper each day. Now what is going on around you, what is going on around the world, and what new technologies are emerging, what type of things are going on in your country. So you must read a national daily newspaper for that update. Finally, develop the confidence needed to succeed as a manager. Now this is something very important, that confidence is something that you need to enhance to become something good in your life, and that confidence will make you will put you at a better place in that organization. So this was all about that thing, and I'm going to create discussion questions on LMS, and you are going to respond to that questions over there. And if you want to have any other question about that presentation, then in office hours you can meet me, and you can also send those questions into to my email address, or you can even call me on Sundays. So thank you very much for watching and listening to this presentation, and hope we are going to record another presentation for you soon.